Hi guys, welcome to today's session. So we're going to be working on some character design in Procreate. So sort of sketching character designs and then building them into more finished pieces. So what we're going to be doing today is establishing a pose for a little figure, multiplying it 3 times and starting to kind of sketch some different types of clothing over the figure and sort of seeing where that leads fairly sort of loosely and experimentally before next week we'll be kind of adding colour to that. So yeah, first off, let's kind of get just a little bit of a like slightly dynamic sort of pose in place, which is going to work quite loosely. It's a sort of slightly exaggerated but kind of slightly more fun pose than just purely static. Yeah, so let's sort of start, maybe kind of get kind of fist in place there, and sort of hand on his hip on the other side. So let's take that, sort of shrink it down a bit and duplicate it. So this is one of the advantages of working with Procreate. We can sort of do these variations. Move them all across a little bit together. So I've not got any kind of fixed sort of styles in mind for the characters. I might just group all of these layers in and kind of fade them out a bit. So they're sort of faded, so we're going to be building clothing and stuff over the top. So let's go, so say this first one, maybe let's kind of think about what kind of, just a separate layer. So you might be wearing a sort of, maybe like a really wide brimmed hat. Start to kind of build maybe like a collar, sort of collar type thing up for him. Sort of starting to look a bit sort of cowboyish currently. about there's where his jacket ends. So we've got getting down to kind of sort of where his trousers would be, so we're getting some folds, starting to kind of figure out how kind of loose or tight they might appear. Maybe tuck them into sort of what kind of fits with the style as some boots. It maybe kind of feels like his torso should just sort of stick out a little bit further this direction, kind of give it some weight. So you can sort of start to play around with the overall kind of feel of the figure. I might also just change the positioning of his arm just to be dropped. Down a bit more naturally. And then also just start to kind of sketch out some kind of modelling, some form. We're sort of already starting to get a little bit of a feel for that. And for these sorts of character studies, we don't need to go kind of into loads of detail with any kind of portrait, just sort of suggests a face a little bit. Yeah, so perhaps something sort of that level with this guy. Just going to flatten out this foot a little bit. So the next one, let's go maybe something slightly more kind of medieval looking, so you might have a sort of maybe a dome helmet. maybe more like kind of separated segments of armour. Sort of stud work, possibly. More like a sort of tunic-y sort of thing. And then for him, more like kind of armour underneath. Maybe add a kind of sword as a prop to this guy. And then he can be sort of clutching it with his weapon there. Yeah, that's not too bad as a little start for this one as well. So let's think, this next one, maybe we could do maybe like a kind of longer sort of coat type thing. So we go something which maybe kind of drapes down. Maybe in this case I'll just sort of change that leg pose, just so the cloak kind of fits a bit more, kind of drops down a bit more naturally. give this guy a little hat as well, but maybe a bit smaller than the previous one, a bit more like a sort of fedora type thing. Maybe more of a moustache. Yeah, it's not too bad. Got some sort of buttons going down his coat. And a little bit of a shadow. Yeah, that's alright as far as a few kind of variations go. So we'll leave it at that for this session. And then we'll look at adding some colour next time. So yeah, that's it for this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this session. As always, if you have any questions, you've kind of done a little bit of it, sort of how to go yourself, and you sort of want to tell me how it went, you can just post in the comments of the video, and just realised I missed this bit, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you also want to kind of take a look at the sorts of paid qualifications that we offer at the school, you can click the link in the description. We've got a lot of different kind of options for people. So yeah, have a look at that, and otherwise I will see you guys next week.